Okay then, it's time for Team of the Week for Week 8 of the Overwatch League, and of course it's been a bumper week. This makes for a very interesting Team of the Week because of course we have the regular fixtures, but also we have the knockouts of the June Joust going into the tournament, and that means we get some pop-off plays, we get some clutches, because, you know, you need to get some clutches every now and then to get to the tournament. That's the way Overwatch works. But we're going to pick up 6 players once again, one for each role, and, you know, it's going to look slightly different than usual because we've had one team that's kind of come out, not out of the blue, should we say, but one team that is near the top of the power rankings right now. I suppose if you power rank them on June Joust alone, that wasn't around in the main melee. So, you know, it's going to be very, very interesting. But anyway, we're going to get straight into this, and we're going to start with the main support. Main supports. Things have been fairly consistent this week. Like, Mass has had a good week for the Atlanta Reign, although the Atlanta Reign have been good all around. And, you know, when we look across the league, we're seeing great main supports. Like, Jex has been good for the Dallas Fuel. Like, we can't ever take that away from him. FD God died with beat. And I don't think I've ever seen an Overwatch League player use Valkyrie and stay out in the open in the line of sight of a Bob and die. That's something new. Definitely not seen that before in the Overwatch League, and I did not expect it from a San Francisco Shock player. Not gonna lie, FD God had a bloody mare this week. But then again, this is the San Francisco Shock we're talking about right now, and it hasn't been exactly plain sailing. But this is gonna go to Lee Jae-gon. Lee Jae-gon is having the season of his life right now. He is quite simply the best main support in the league, in my opinion, right now. The best active main support. We don't have a Funny Astro to challenge him right now, although Funny Astro might not be very far away. But Lee Jae-gon is demonstrating top-tier main support play. He always has done since the Runaway days when he was alongside Gangnam Jin, but now alongside Izayaki of the Shanghai Dragons. Shanghai have been fantastic this week, even in those playoffs. And they looked phenomenal. They rolled Seoul. And, to be honest, on Li Jiang, it was mostly Lee Jae-gon. 10 environmental kills in one match on Lucio. He absolutely rolled them. Yes, sometimes it was with the help of Fate. Fate had a really good week as well, but we're not talking about main tank right now. But Lee Jae-gon has been fantastic. Not just this week, but the season throughout. He's been getting the balance really, really right. Which I think he's learned a lot from last season playoffs, where he got called out a little bit. I think we can admit that. He wasn't always called out last season, but sometimes he was called out. But now the balance for Lee Jae-gon seems to be there, and it's really, really, providing dividends for the Shanghai Dragons, and the Shanghai Dragons' power level and the Shanghai Dragons' competence and the ferociousness of that team is increasing alongside that. And it's really great to watch. It's fantastic to watch. Lee Jae-gon really stood out for me out of all the main supports this week. It really wasn't a hard decision. I'm not gonna lie. This is the easiest decision out of all of them. But we're gonna move on to our flex support now. Now, flex support is a weird one. Again, when we look at the San Francisco Shock, and this is something that I've highlighted all season. The supports for the Shock are having a mare. Like, Violet got rolled against Atlanta. Whether that's his fault or not, that takes more depth than looking into. But my goodness me, he was read like a book, especially when he was on the Moira. And there's quite a bit of Moira being played at the moment because we're playing such fast dive comps. Moira is just great. She's just great at that. It's about the only use for Moira right now. She's not used in Brawl because of BAP. But the only time we're going to see Moira is with those really hard, fast, engage Brawl dive comps. Because of her mobility, her limited healing output, but her high burst healing. And so, it's been a bad week for Violet. Iris for the Atlanta Reign, again, I need to highlight him because he's been doing fantastic as well. He's, again, starting to gain some traction, just like the Atlanta Reign as a team are starting to gain traction. And that proved in the knockouts with 2 3-0s. Like, that's something I don't think any of us would really have expected. But, you know, there's plenty of other flex support, like the flex support's stacked, right? So you got Izayaki of the Shanghai Dragons as well. The Jonax have even been doing well for the NYXL to see them into the tournament. Creative, okay, it wasn't the best of weeks for the Seoul Dynasty, but he didn't look bad. But I think we have a new king of flex supports right now. I don't think the king is Violet anymore, it's not Twilight. I think the king is Fielder. And this is who's going to get it. Fielder, he's realizing the potential we saw in his debut for the Paris Eternal last year when he was 200 millisecond ping from Korea. And he showed that he was an insane prodigy of flex supports. And he's now starting to realize that at the Dallas Fuel. Unleashed, with Rush, nothing holding him back. Dallas Fuel have finally settled on this Jexa Fielder support line. No more Repel, which was harming them at the start of the season, and with that, Fielder's concrete place in the team, he is excelling. Absolutely excelling. He's been turning fights. Yes, he's been playing Moira, and, I mean, the Overwatch community has a habit of saying, it's Moira, brain dead hero, but at the end of the day, at this level, every hero takes skill. Because every hero needs very, very good positioning to make sure you don't get picked off, to make sure you don't get punished. Because it's everything at this level. And my goodness me, the way I've seen Fielder turn fights this weekend with Moira Coalescences is just balmy. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, he's been playing majority Moira because it just plays to the way that Dallas Fuel play. Dallas Fuel want to play fast. They want to play hard. They want to play aggressive. Because that's the way Dallas Fuel work. They just catch you off. They catch opponents off guard because of their aggressiveness. They're by far the most aggressive team in the league. And it's proving so bountiful for them. And it's just making Fielder excel. It really, really is. Fielder's been fantastic. And my goodness me, I really do think he's the best flex support in the league right now. And he had a rough start to the season, but that's probably because of the instability between Repel and Fielder and then playing Fielder and Repel. It was so weird. But now Dallas have finally settled on what they want. It's making these players just insanely skilled. And they're grinding. And they look just incredible. So I can't go against it. And to be honest, we're going to go to our main tank now because we're going to stick with Dallas again. It's Fearless. I mean, honorable mentions to Smurf and Gator, even Yakpung's had a good week. Gesture's been okay. He's been okay. We've seen good play from Don actually at the Paris Eternal. But Fearless, the leader of the Dallas Fuel in these engages. And my goodness me, you can see the tempo and it just, I love watching Dallas Fuel play. I never thought I'd say that. Like, we are now in the position where Dallas Fuel are the best team in this league. I don't think anyone can doubt about that. And we're finally starting to not doubt the Dallas Fuel. And it's all because of this aggressive forward play that Dallas Fuel just don't give space. Dallas Fuel are incredible at taking space and denying space from an enemy team. And that is down to incredible tank play coming from Fearless. Yes, he gets assisted by Hanbin. Don't get me wrong. But space creation is mainly due to main tank play. And Fearless, I don't think anyone will argue. We had doubts at the start of the season because of the way Dallas sort of started slowly. I think we can all agree with that. But right now, I don't think there's anyone better, especially on Winston. Like, Fearless's Winston is another level. And, he's insane. And I'm a main tank player myself, and if you want to watch insane level main tank play, go into the replay, it's only PC, but go into the replay if you're on PC and just look at Fearless's POV when he's playing for Dallas, because it's just, he gets it right. What else can you say? Sometimes he gets called out, right? Sometimes he dies. But what happens immediately after Fearless dies? Dallas picked 2 supports. from the enemy team and they win the fight. Why? Because Fearless has, perhaps fed a little bit, don't get me wrong, but he has created so much space for Doha and Sparkle to go and get the picks that are crucial to the fight that he dying doesn't matter. Because very often, if you think about it in an Overwatch case, if your main tank dies in exchange for 2 supports on the enemy team, your team will win that fight. Because the sustain for the enemy team is gone. And that's the ratio they're working off of in those situations, but very often it's not needed because Fearless is not dying. That's due to great support play and great main tank play, because you know your boundaries, you know the balance of engage and disengage. You're not feeding, but you're feeding enough to make sure your supports are getting value as well, because that's another thing about main tank. If you are feeding just enough to give your supports ult charge, then your supports will ult charge the enemy supports. It's all a chain reaction, and that's why main tank is such a pivotal role in the game. And Fearless demonstrates this to enormous effect. And he just deserves it. He just deserves this spot again. Like, this is going to go to Fearless so many times this season. I'm sorry, but I just see it coming because Fearless is insane. Moving on. Off tank. Off tank, it's been okay. To you, Bianca seeing obviously NYXL into the top 2 for East. Actually very, very unexpected. Void again's had a good week. Hanbin has been very good for the Dallas Fuel, assisting Fearless in that really highly aggressive play that is getting them massive rewards right now. But I am going to head over to Atlanta Rain because I think this deserves to go to Hawk. Hawk, he's been getting insanely high value picks. Not just the pick on Nepal Shrine, I believe it was Shrine, on FD God who had beat. Like, that pick is massively insane. They lose the fight off of that, but my goodness me, if you can get a pick like that, that's insane. Also, the peel from Hawk has been just phenomenal to make sure that Edison and Pelican are staying alive in fights, and Kai as well when he comes in. And it's just allowing and enabling the Atlanta Rain DPS players and supports to get their job done. When the supports can get their job done, the main tank can get the job done. When the DPS can get their job done, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. Hence the fact that Pelican and Edison were rolling the shock. They were rolling the shock hard. To the likes we've not seen in a very long time. And it's all off of incredible team play. When the dive goes in, very often Hawk is there to assist. And that's what you want from your diva. You don't want them off doing their own thing. You want them assisting with the defense matrix, assisting with inputting chip damage. Because at the end of the day, at that level, that extra bit of chip damage, that extra bit of defense matrix can make the difference between fight wins and fight losses. That's what makes these top tier off tanks fantastic, like Void, like Hanbin, like Hawk. And Hawk, I think, has had one of the weekends of his career right now. And I think he just deserves this spot above anyone else. And I'm hoping that we see more of this from Hawk, not gonna lie. Because he will be one of the best Western off tanks. Simple as, if he can maintain this sort of performance. If not the best. Like, yeah. Who's he got to contend with? You're looking at Space? People like that? Hawk is really, really starting to make a case for himself. And this week has really demonstrated that. But we are going to stick with Atlanta Rain because now we're going to move on to our Flex DPS. Flex DPS, again, is stacked. Like, Kevster's had a great weekend, so is EQO at the Philadelphia Fusion when he was featured. EQO did very well, except against the Valiant, where that actually cost the Fusion. EQO didn't feature. Don't ask me why, just Fusion things. But, you know, at Sparkle, again, been rolling people. His Doomfist was nutty against Houston Outlaws. Like, oh my goodness me, get Sparkle on a Doomfist and anything's going to happen, isn't it? Let's be honest. I can tell you that Sparkle was 3rd on hero damage per 10 minutes this weekend. Assassin, Decay, we've seen, well, not Decay Hitscan, but Assassin's been fantastic as well. There's been so much from these Flex DPS players recently. Yes, maybe because we're seeing a lot of Echo, but it's just so good. Again, Doha has been fantastic, and when you talk about that, I feel that's 2 Flex DPS players technically. And My goodness me, is there any other team in the league that can say, well, who are we putting on Echo today? Are we going to put Sparkle or Doha? Which one of our DPS do we want to do? Like, that's lovely. That's a lovely position to be in if you're Rush, isn't it? I'm going to give this to Pelican. Because Pelican, again, it's just building at the Atlanta Reign. There's this air of greatness building at the Atlanta Reign, possibly. I hope I'm not saying that too soon, because what I've seen from the Atlanta Reign during this June Joust has been honestly fantastic. And it's been off the back of great Hawk off-tank play, but also phenomenal flex DPS play from Pelican. Like, Pelican is now starting to realize some of the potential we've seen in him and thought he could have at the start of the season, and it's allowing, again, Atlanta Reign to push forward. We thought Atlanta Reign would become one of these big teams, become one of these teams to perhaps be feared, and now they're starting to realize that. Pelican is looking really darn good. His eliminations per 10 minutes this weekend were 26.2. 26.2. The nearest to him was Kai on 22.4. That is insane. That is mind-boggling. Pelican, like, final blows per 10 minutes, 13.2. The next closest Prophet with 11.9. This is not close. This is not close. Pelican just blew teams away this weekend. Blew teams away. And I can't give it to anyone else. Like, Prophet's been great, fine, you know, so is Doha, so is Sparkle, so is EQO, but just Pelican has just been, the amount of fights where you see Pelican getting 2 or 3 kills is just beyond me. Against top tier teams, especially the Shock. Yes, it may not have been a stellar Shock, right? But it's still a bloody good team. And you've got Pelican just rolling them like it's nothing. Nero looked mediocre compared to Pelican. Absolutely mediocre. And that's saying something. Pelican has been fantastic this weekend. One of the best players in the league this weekend, if not the best, honestly. We come to our Hitscan. Hitscan is a lot more difficult, not gonna lie. There's been great moments. Kai for the Atlanta Reign, again, very high up in those stats. Stats aren't everything, but very high up in those stats, Kai. And yes, the random bob kill on a Valkyrie Mercy because she was out in the open and never decided to take any cover. Yes, FD got it, I'm not going to let that lie. Fitz for the Soul Dynasty has done very well. Shy has had a decent weekend for the Hangzhou Spark. Not quite the insane play we've seen from Shy recently, but he's still been good. Flora, I want to mention because, again, he's had fantastic displays for the NYXL this weekend, leading them into that June Joust appearance in Hawaii. But I am going to give it to an old faithful. Birdring. Birdring, yes, but the Gladiators came up short against the Dallas Fuel. But to be quite honest, everyone is coming up short against the Dallas Fuel. Who's you know, they just are. Birdring put in performances this weekend against the Boston Uprising, against the Paris Eternal. Both of them were MVP performances within those matches. He is just incredible, and Birdring is starting to feel his way back to his best form. And when you've got Birdring on his best form, that's exactly what you want. And the reason that Birdring didn't get so much value against the Gladiators, against the Dallas Fuel, is because of the aggression of the Dallas Fuel. Birdring didn't get room to play his long-range hit scan. And that's where things start to crumble when you're a long-range hit scan player. But I'm not going to hold that against him. He's, again, been really consistent this weekend. He's been great in both of those matches against Uprising and Eternal, and led the Gladiators to a very good weekend despite being knocked out of those June Joust knockouts. But again, I really don't think it's anything to be too upset about for the Gladiators to be knocked out against Dallas. If you were knocked out against, say, Atlanta's a little bit harsh right now because Atlanta looked good, but say you were knocked out against Shock or someone like that, And in the current state, you're looking at it and saying that was winnable. In those teams' current state, that was really winnable. But against the Fuel, who's going to take down a Fuel right now? Especially in knockout situations, who's going to take the Fuel down? I don't see anyone who can take the Fuel down in knockout situations right now. Maybe Shanghai? But it's really not easy to predict anyone to beat the Fuel. Because the Fuel are insane. And therefore I'm not gonna like completely come down on Birdwing because of that. So I think Birdwing does deserve this Hitscan spot. And that rounds out this team of the week. So Liege, Gon, Fielder, Fearless, Hawk, Pelican, and Birdwing. A lot of Atlanta Rain, a lot of Dallas Fuel, because, well, those teams have been kind of hot this weekend, haven't they? Let's be honest. But next weekend, we're heading into the Hawaii feature for June Joust. We will be seeing the NYXL, the Shanghai Dragons, Dallas Fuel, Atlanta Rain. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how those teams work each other out and do in that tournament setting. There will be a preview of those matches going up very, very soon, obviously on my channel, so hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss when that goes live. Also, in the description below are the socials linked for Asian Gaming and myself. Make sure you give the Twitters a follow, make sure you give the Twitches a follow, and join the Discords if you wish to talk to me or anyone else, and have a great chat, because everyone is really friendly, believe it or not. I don't bite. Smile. But I'm going to leave it here for this one. So thank you guys so much for this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.